Hey, welcome to the Whaler Guys. It's Jerry Irwin and Peter Hindle. We're the Whaler Guys. You guys are the Brigade. We are at the Hartford Whalers, Whaler Guys Brigade World Headquarters at Hartford Public Access, 20-28 Sargent Street. It's been exciting. I heard a great line today, and for all you Whaler fans, you'll love this one. Someone said to me, "Leave the goat, bring in the whale."
Yeah, that's right. It was all the trouble that the yard goats have had. I mean, wouldn't we all just rather have the Whalers back? I mean, it just make it happen already, you know. Enough with the issues that Hartford has had. You know, it's time for things to start to go right. And, you know, we really got into it because we got into the XL, an exclusive. The Whaler Guys got into the XL Center on May 20th. Went and met with Bob Saint, the Director of Construction for CRDA. Also met with Kim Hart, the Director of Venue Services for the CRDA. She runs the XL Center, the Rentschler Field. She runs the Convention Center, and also the tennis center down in New Haven. Mm-hmm. We met with them for 2 hours and got a good look at the infrastructure of the XL Center, and what was a pretty exciting time. And you know, it was interesting to see how much work needs to be done behind the scenes that you don't see when you go to a hockey game.
It really was. You know, we sat there, we were in the fan club that everyone enjoys during a packed house for a UConn game or a Wolfpack game. And it was really eerie to sit there when it was really, really quiet.
Oh, very much.
It was just the four of us, had our cups of coffee. We took the day off from work so we could actually, you know, meet with Bob and Kim. And we thank the CRDA for giving us their time, because their time is very precious these days. But to sit there and talk about what's on the horizon was very exciting. First, nothing really happening this summer. Let's make that crystal clear that this summer there's not going to be a lot of work. Next summer is when the real work begins, and that's hammering out and jackhammering the concrete pad that is the ice surfacing equipment that's been around for quite a few years.
Right, right. So you know, next summer they would go completely dark, the XL Center. And their hope is to redo this ice sheet and bring it up to you know, current states, because right now it's so bad that, you know, we heard stories about there was one particular time where the system was failing. There was a leak, a pressure leak. Didn't know what to do. They didn't have the right equipment to fix it because the company that, you know, made the parts went out of business in the 90s, and so they literally had a guy with his thumb on the leak while they scrambled to find a. And you know, we say this. The XL Center is going to run out of fingers to plug up holes at some point. So that's why it's important to get the XL Center done. Even if there isn't an NHL future, at least you'll have a state-of-the-art building. So you can have the concerts, you can have the AHL, you can have UConn, and you'll have an NHL-ready arena, you know, in the hopes that a team can relocate to this location. But to see the XL Center and to get in there and to be the first guys to do it, we think we created a news cycle on the XL Center, because I'll tell you what, Jerry and I went in there May 20th, the 21st, and wrote an Examiner article. It got a lot more hits than I'm used to. And the next thing I know, the Hartford Current is writing an exclusive, and they talked to Bob Saint. They talked about just about the exact same things we did. Then it got picked up by Fox 61. Then it's picked up by NBC. So you guys watching us, listening to us, reading what we write, generates news in Hartford. So that's a good thing. So and the more you support us, the better these things will come.
And you share those articles with your friends. Peter does a great job with the Examiner.com articles. It just gives all of us more exposure as Whaler fans that we're still in the hunt for this NHL team.
Right.
And, you know, I give Pete a great deal of credit. He does a great job with the articles.
Thank you.
And really what happens is now we are guiding the news media, because as I've been very critical, and I continue to be critical of the news media here, that they're going to just choose the high-profile things. For us, this high-profile thing is the XL Center.
Right.
You know, yeah, the yard goats are stealing everything because they can't put a facility together, and you know that's their problem. Thank goodness the state didn't get involved from the start.
Right.
And it's our job to keep this XL Center, get the momentum it needs to get this renovation underway.
Right, because you know, we went down and saw some things, because you know, we talked to Bob Saint and Kim Hart for a while. And then I said, boy, you know, we would love to go down and get some pictures of just some of the infrastructure, some of the things you guys are working on. And he said, sure. And he showed us these things. And when you go down there, it's almost like a time capsule that's still working. You know, we saw things that control the pressure system for the ice sheet that is literally like you pull a lever, you press a button. I mean, it's real rudimentary 1975 equipment. And Bob Saint even said, like, you know, we got these circuit boards. When one circuit goes, everything's so outdated that they have to replace the whole circuit board. So instead of replacing a circuit, which would be like $500, you replace the whole board, it could be up to $10,000 to $15,000. These are the kinds of expensive infrastructure needs that the XL has to have just to survive. So getting those up to date And you know, we saw so many things. The chillers were,
Well, yeah.
you know, old, you know, construction.
And they're talking about phase construction.
Right.
Well, they're going ahead with these phase construction projects, but in the process, some older equipment is failing, so they have to stop what they're doing to try to get ahead, and they have to go back and fix this equipment that, like you said, you know, okay, the breaker went, but we can't buy a breaker, so we have to replace the whole panel, and like you said, $500 versus $15,000.
Right.
And the plan for next year, next summer, 2017, the summer of 2017, not this summer, they're going to take out that concrete pad, the ice surface, and that's going to be a major improvement. What they're stopping short of, and which makes perfect sense, is to relocate those chillers to outside or on top of the roof, like you see in modern day arenas. The reason why they're going to do that is, okay, we're going to do the concrete pad and get the ice surfacing equipment ready to go to keep it at 15 degrees to keep that ice surface frozen. Well, they're not going to start cutting a hole in the side of the XL Center to move chillers unless the major renovation is going to take place, because they have to bring a crane inside. And that's the reason why they're doing not only the ice surfacing equipment to make the ice stay frozen, but they have to actually put a crane in the middle of the XL Center on the ice pad, which is concrete, and it has to support a 2 or 3 ton crane to put the chillers on the roof or relocate them elsewhere.
Right.
So, you know, it's a phase project. Yes, the first phase seems very menial, but no, we have to keep the ice going for hockey games. But then again, when the ice is done, it has to support a crane to take care of the renovations inside the XL Center. And Bob was very good in explaining all that, and he said it's going to be a process to see when and if they're going to get the money to go forward for this renovation.
Yeah, because what they want to do is where the chillers are now, they want to relocate them to another location, because where the chillers are now, that would become like a corporate premium seating kind of suite bunker, where underneath you'd have, you know, the TVs and the bars and some food and stuff like that, but then you could walk out to a seating area that would be, you know, almost ice level. So they're making, you know, that's part of the big construction plans in the future, and they made mention of that because that still moving the chillers is part of that whole process. And we keep saying that word process because people get discouraged when we say we could be years away from a final transformed XL Center, but that doesn't mean that you can't have a team come here and then have the construction process happening in the summers when they're not here. Getting this ice sheet done means that they will have a competent ice surface for any team to play there.
Right, exactly.
And now it's an issue where something could go wrong, you know, it could be an issue, and that would make the NHL or any other team, even the Wolfpack or the Yukon Huskies, nervous about having a major ice fail during the season. So that's why it's very important to get this ice sheet done. It's the first step in a major renovation process.
And one of the things, you know, prior to coming in here, we did podcast number 16, which was the Pat Verbeek podcast, and you know, you'll see it on our Whalers Brigade page. Podcast number 16, which is Shut Your Blowhole. And really, when we talked about what they've done, an interesting story on our tour was the day that there was a daytime Yukon game and a nighttime Wolfpack game, and in between, both of the Zambonis died. They had to go down to the Travelers where they had the old Zamboni that was stored for the outside rink during the winter. They had to drive it down Trumbull Street to get it to the XL Center
I wish I'd
to
seen that.
resurface the ice for the hockey game.
That would have been a sight to
So
see.
the good news is, this year, the CRDA has purchased 2 brand new Olympia Zambonis for this upcoming season. They're supposed to be here probably in September, they said.
That's right. We had talked about, you know, when we talked to the CRDA, they said, hey, we got 2 new Zambonis. They didn't mean Zambonis from the company Zamboni. They meant 2 new Olympia ice resurfacing. That's what you were going to say. So, you know, the great thing about that is, you know that the old ones were so old that they were here when the Whalers were here. So it needed to be changed, and every NHL arena requires 2 Zambonis because they need to do the ice, you know, and turn that over and save over the 5 minutes to get it all done. So it's important to have those 2 Zambonis. They're a small piece, but the point is, it's progress. We're making progress on this process. So, you know, we keep looking forward to that. And we're going to put up some pictures in this show of some of the infrastructure that we've been allowed to take pictures of some of the stuff, and we'll show you some of those pictures, give you an idea of how outdated it was. There's actually a tunnel that goes underneath the ice, And Bob Saint said when they got there, that tunnel was filled with water, rainwater that had just collected over years and years. So this tunnel was to access the ice sheet so that they could make repairs on it and stuff. They couldn't even get down there without snorkeling equipment. I mean, and now it's all cleaned out at least. But that will be filled with concrete. It will no longer be something that they need with this new ice sheet. So there's a lot of big plans, a lot of talk, and I know it's slow, and that kind of makes people frustrated. But the point is us getting in there shows that they want people like you watching the show and learning about the process.
And the other thing is they have not given up. Everyone's, and I'm the most impatient person in the world, but when you look at what they're actually going forward with, they're not stopping. We were told not to divulge certain information. Well, the current divulged the information we weren't supposed to divulge. So I'm going to tell you, the CRDA and the state are putting $500,000 worth of surveillance equipment in with facial recognition cameras for security upgrades. This is huge. Huge because they're after the safety of their consumers. And that's very important. Not only are they doing the ice surface area, which is needed, but now they're keeping people safe. And we had a conversation with Bob Saint. God forbid there was a critical incident where people had to evacuate the XL Center. Well, his architects and engineers said that people would make it out of the XL Center with a packed house in 6 minutes. I said, are you out of your mind? 16,000 people are going to make it out of the XL Center in 6 minutes. Well, Bob Saint sat there personally during the Bruce Springsteen concert, and when it got out, the majority of the people at a slower pace made it out of the XL Center within 6 minutes. So that was really impressive.
Well, it's very important, too, from the standpoint that the NHL would never come here if the building wasn't safe. And that was not even a rehearsal. That was just, let's see how long it takes people on a normal event to get out of here. And obviously you can see that the XL Center is pretty good at being able to get people out of the building quickly if there should be ever an issue. And all these security upgrades are things that definitely would be needed if there was an NHL team here. So they're getting very state-of-the-art with some of the things. And like I said, we didn't get that information. Well, we got that information, but we didn't talk about it. And it was in the Hartford Current. And you see that is another major piece of the process, is getting the building up to code with safety. They call it life safety, I believe they call it. And you got the fire system, all these issues, because if there's ever a fire building, or any kind of other
And that's one thing we really have to emphasize, is another thing you did not see in the original renovation was the smoke evacuation system. And I have to put the props out to Bob, because he said that was a huge undertaking, not only to get it done because you're dealing with an old building, but you're also dealing with what's code? What's code for the state and the city? And now that the building is up to code and legally operating, and the smoke evacuation system with the security upgrades, yes, they're going forward with a lot of very important stuff. And why would you be going forward if for not to make a modern arena?
Right. I mean, that's the whole point of it. And when we talked to Bob Saint about things below, the mechanics and everything like that, there's also things that they want to upgrade because they get energy discounts. They get right now the building runs in the red because everything's so outdated that you're using you're running energy on old equipment, and it's not cost effective in any way. So getting these discounts, getting Eversource involved, whoever you need for your energy concerns, making the XL Center more profitable is only going to help our cause. Absolutely. And
we talk about how Hartford was and how Hartford survived as a major league city. This week, our friends Matthew Berry and Gabe Rosa, our social media gurus, have done just an outstanding job with our social media. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram now. We're approaching 800 followers on Facebook, and we thank all of you. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here doing what we love to do. Twitter is, what are we at now with Twitter?
We got close to 100 followers on Twitter. I'm sorry, on Twitter it's we're over 300.
Over 300.
But on Instagram we're almost near 100, and we have over 100 subscribers on YouTube. So thank you for watching there. But we also want to remember to remind you to check out HPA TV on demand, so you can see our shows there as well. So it's another site you can go to and check out our shows. HPATV.org.
Right? Yes.
And you can go there and see our shows. They do a great job getting our shows up there and online. just another way for you to get involved and check out
and you
these
can
shows.
stream it.
Yeah.
You can stream them right from the website.
Right.
So if you're out and about and you want to kill some time, you can watch one of the shows right as you sit in your car with your social media.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is Matthew Berry specifically had a genius idea.
Yeah.
He coupled the Winnipeg market with the Hartford market because we're similar in the size of our cities. Well, Peter's going to read an open letter that Matthew Berry put together to the fans of Winnipeg, and you will not believe the responses we received.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to read that letter to you now. It's a really nice, well-done letter. It connects our city with Winnipeg. Believe it or not, we got a lot of great responses from the Winnipeg people, but let's just listen to this letter that Matt wrote. This is an open letter to Jets fans from Whaler Fans. Jets fans, this is a special day for you. 5 years ago today, years of fighting for your team's return came to fruition as the Jets came home to Manitoba's capital. Jerseys were dusted off. People made the journey to the Forks to celebrate an old familiar chant of "Go Jets Go." Brought a smile to thousands of hockey fans everywhere. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away in Hartford, fans that saw their teams suffer a similar fate 15 years ago smiled at the thought of an old competitor making their long-awaited return to the big time. Hartford and Winnipeg, while different in many ways, share a very similar history in the world of hockey. Both small cities, we saw our teams come to life in the WHA, gain their first major stars, the Jets with Bobby Hull and the Whalers with the Howes. They won championships. And finally, our cities both got the call to the NHL. So many great moments happened in our times in the league. Winnipeg gave us the Whiteout, Dale Howardchuk and Teemu Selanne. The Whalers gave us Ron Francis, Kevin Dineen, and the Brass Bonanza. Unfortunately, our times in the league were short-lived. Yet despite our team's departure, the fans of Winnipeg and Hartford still fought just like our teams did every night on the ice. Winnipeg won that fight, and 19 years later, the fans of Hartford are still fighting. Whaler fans look to Winnipeg as a hope of times to come for our city. And on the 5th anniversary of your city's victory, know that Whaler fans celebrate that with you. The return of the Jets reminded Hartford hockey fans that we must continue to fight for the return of our team, and that a group of hockey fans can do great things. As our founder said, after your team came home, if it can happen in Winnipeg, it can happen in Hartford. We'll continue to fight until Hartford gets its own version of May 31st, 2011. And when that day arrives, two teams with a grand history of hockey and passionate fan bases will be back where they belong. Sincerely, the fans of the Hartford Whalers. And we got, absolutely tremendous feedback from the Winnipeg market. People were very, very nice. They said, here we have Dave Poole, who is a Winnipeg fan from the Winnipeg area, who said to us, "Awesome letter. Thank you. Glad to like your page and support your cause. I was a Jets fan from 1981 until they left. And the day they came back, my passion for hockey was stronger than ever. I sincerely hope you guys get to celebrate a day of return to the NHL. And I also hope that when that happens, they give back the name Whalers. That's the only name that belongs in Hartford." You can go on our Facebook page if you'd like to see more of the responses from the Winnipeg fans who reached out across to our Hartford market to say thank you and that they support us as we support them. And, we should probably do this with other markets, as well, because when it comes down to it, we're all fighting for the same thing to get back to the NHL. It happened in Winnipeg. It can happen in Hartford because the same two things are happening. There's an investment group, and we're getting in a building that's going to be, almost not NHL ready by the time all these construction pieces are done. So it was great to get that. It was an awesome idea by Matt Berry, and it made a connection between the two cities that we didn't really have until now.
Well, we felt alone.
Right.
We all felt alone in our battle to keep on beating the drum.
Right.
Well, now we have Winnipeg, who has succeeded in bringing their team back. And again, if they can do it, we can do it. All we have to do is continue to fight. Remember, it's not just Peter and I. It's all of us together.
Yeah.
It's so important that when people naysay you or talk crap about our team or talk about pipe dreams or it's never going to happen, you know what? That's what has to make us stronger and say, you know what? No, our team's going to come back. And it's up to us, all of us, to keep on pressuring the decision makers and the city, the state, and the NHL to realize what they had in Hartford, because we still have a great fan base, passionate fans that want our team back and support the Yukon Huskies, the Wolfpack. Right. We do have a hockey city. We are a major league market. And this nonsense that we're between Boston and New York is a bunch of crap. Yeah. We are a destination of our own. We were once the major league city. We can do it again. So if you don't believe and you don't want to believe in us, shut your blowhole and get the hell out. Yeah. Because you know what? We can do it. And it's all of us together. And that's what makes us so strong, is the strength in numbers.
Absolutely. And like we said, we get that letter out there to Winnipeg. And then the next thing you know, a couple days later, Peter Karmanos is in deep doo-doo. So this is what happens. You know, everybody talks about the latest rumors and all that. But what happens is NHL teams struggle. And some of them run into doo-doo. And so Peter Karmanos has stepped in it big, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But the point is, if he can't cover the issues that he's dealing with now, he may be in a situation where he has to sell his...
Tell him about the issue.
Yeah.
The issue is, he is being sued by his 3 sons because he's being sued for $100 million by his 3 sons because he has taken money from their trust funds to pay the debt down that he has accrued in Carolina. Do I feel bad telling you about this? Absolutely not.
Yeah,
you know what? What karma is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it's in his name.
And we all have a front row seat.
Right.
You know, that'd be one thing if the article came out and was sold over social media. But not only that, the NHL does not want this bad image.
No.
The other thing you have to realize is the NHL feed on NBC Sports Network actually posted this.
Yeah.
So if the NHL is not keeping close ties to this and they're letting NBC Sports Network, who has a 10-year contract with the NHL to air all the games, put it on their feed on Facebook, you know what? Maybe it's time that they want to see Karmanos sink in Carolina. Because you know what? The NHL likes to hush things.
Yeah.
This is bad image for the NHL.
Oh, absolutely. Especially for the team with the lowest attendance and having a difficult time losing some money. And, you know, in the southern market system that we've seen so many times.
Sun Belt.
The Sun Belt. And, you know, the one thing that I've heard most from Whaler fans, and it's perfect because I said the same thing out of my head. You said it today. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. It couldn't happen to a nicer guy to see that guy in trouble.
And we all remember that Peter Karmanos bought the Hartford Whalers in 1997. Well, moved them in 1997 to go toe-to-toe with Michael Ilitch, who owns the Detroit Red Wings and the Detroit Tigers and Little Caesars. And what Peter Karmanos has done in 19 years has proven to me I would never, ever, ever invest in any of his companies, and he's failed as a business owner. If he wanted to go head-to-head with Michael Ilitch, I don't know why, because Michael Ilitch will blow you out of the water.
Yeah, and it's too funny, too, when you see, he went into the Hall of Fame earlier this year, and it was all for, a lot, to me, it was for his charity work rather than his hockey work. And it was proven again, I think, now, because we're looking at Jim Rutherford, who, he said was going to retire, and then Jim Rutherford ends up the Pittsburgh GM, who's now 2 wins away from winning the Stanley Cup. So, no disrespect to Ron Francis, but maybe you shouldn't let Jim Rutherford go. It seems like he knows how to win when he's given.
Not only that, Peter Karmanos' son left the organization, the Carolina Hurricanes, and went and worked for Jim Rutherford with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And again, he's 2 wins away from winning a Stanley Cup.
And Karmanos called it Family Matters. Well, his family's now got his son's got another ring probably coming in another couple wins. So.
And $100 million.
Yeah, right. and something else, too. He's part of that group because I think Karmanos has 3 sons.
Yes, 3 sons.
Yeah.
Yep, and it's going to be fun to watch.
My 3 sons.
That's right.
Yeah, except it's not a happy ending.
Yeah,
it's not a happy ending, though. I don't know what dinner's like at that family meeting.
Yeah, I don't think they have family meetings anymore.
So that puts Carolina more in the forefront if Karmanos cannot resolve these issues. Is he going to have interest in selling his percentage of the team? And there's an investment group here. We've heard rumors and rumblings about who they are, but we don't have any confirmation of who they are. But they're there, and everyone's saying, well, why don't they come out? Because the NHL doesn't want them to. So you got to assume that they're doing what the NHL wants them to do.
And and we've talked about this before, that the NHL will vet investors. And so, yes, the NHL wants to keep everything hush-hush.
Yeah.
And just like Winnipeg, well, overnight, Winnipeg's coming back.
Right.
This is what can happen in Hartford. We just have to be ready for when that happens. Remember again that last year we talked about, or actually this year, we talked about 3 teams that had a line of credit with the NHL.
Yeah.
I would, if I was a betting man,
Yeah.
I would bet the Peter Karmanos and the Carolina Hurricanes have a line of credit with the NHL.
Right.
And now with this bad image that he's portraying, the NHL does not like that.
No.
They want to be squeaky clean.
Yeah.
And you know what? This is going to be great to watch. We have the front row seat. You do too. And we'll give you as much information as we receive because we want to watch him fail.
Yeah. It'll be fun to watch. Like I said, it's nothing worse than having the team leave Hartford, but also having the logos and the things change. It changed so much that I couldn't even begin to follow Carolina. It was such a drastic change from the Whalers. Not only that, but he threw away all the jerseys and never retired any of the numbers. It would have been smart for him to try to bring Whaler fans into this Carolina market.
Yep.
He didn't. He thought he could go make it on his own. They're into NASCAR or whatever they're into.
Yep.
They're not really going into hockey games, especially when the team stinks like they did this year. They could show up with the Stanley Cup win in 2006, but not now.
And the other thing we have to realize, and we talked about this on a podcast, and we're going to say this quick because we're running out of time, is we don't want to inherit a team or have a team move here that has millions of dollars in debt because we're paying X amount of dollars for a team, but we're not going to incur that debt because we just can't have that happen.
Right.
So we're going to kind of wrap it up because we're all fired up now. We did our podcast. Please watch the podcast on iTunes or listen to the podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud. We're the Whaler guys. You guys are the brigade, and we're only going to get this done as a team, as a unit, as the brigade. So remember, we're one nation under green. Let's go get them. Have a great night.